Hey everybody, this is Perch. YouTube's going through one of those subscriber purges, so check real quick to make sure you're still subscribed. If you happen to subscribe to this channel, just might want to make sure that you still are so you can continue to get notifications for all my nonsense, or don't. To be honest, I'm not sure. Here's a crazy thing. If you're not subscribed to the channel, but your viewing history, you watch this channel, stuff's still going to come up. YouTube's still going to recommend it, whether you're subscribed or not. So, I mean, I guess I'm not clear what the subscriber amount is really for, other than you get some notifications if you happen to click the bell to turn those on, and, bragging rights. But, I'm good with the size of my dick, so I don't, I'm not quite sure. Anyway, but YouTube's purging stuff, and that's all right. I would like for them to go ahead and purge the bots, which is the reason they do these purges, but the bots seem to, not go away. But anyway, I mean, I know all of you are desperately trying to figure out where in the world can I get porn on the internet. It's a very hard problem. And so fortunately, the bots in my comment section will help you out by pointing out where you too can get porn, because, you probably didn't know how to solve that particular problem. So thankfully, YouTube spam is going to point you in the right direction to get that juicy porn, that moist porn. That's what you want. Speaking of moist, I hate this heat in Texas with the power of two suns, which ironically is what it feels like to live in Texas. 113. This is hell, absolute hell. Anyway, I did it to myself. Here's a mail about a different kind of hell. It says, "Hey Perch, what can customers do to change the industry? A bit of forewarning, I'm going to sound very scathing here probably. I don't want to, but I'm unsure of how to word my thoughts. Otherwise, I will admit that I'm not really a comic book guy." Interesting. "I only dab at it occasionally, so I may very well be showing off my ignorance." All right, you got me. I'm intrigued. Where is this going to go? Initially, my question was, why are people voting to have more garbage? I've heard this time and time again from my friends who are into comics. The new comic is garbage. I'm only buying it because I don't want to break my run. And I can't help but think, what the fuck? Why are you voting in more garbage? But that may be just me coming from video games. There's a sentiment whenever the video game industry does another shady thing to vote with your wallet. That the only thing the industry really measures is profit, and if you want the crap to stop, you have to stop giving money to the shitters making it crap. You're blowing all my monetization here with language. Anyway. So let me pause here for a second and say that's not just video games. That definitely applies to comics as well. And don't buy. There's this sentiment which is, I'm sorry, I can't help but become pessimistic and suspicious of the sentiment, which says voting with your wallet doesn't work in comics because the wokesters who are in charge of the big publishing companies are going to publish at a loss because they're so determined to get their non-woke stuff out. Or sorry, they're woke. You know what I mean. Anyway, the idea is that the people at the top don't care about business results, don't care about profits, and the answer is they do, as we're seeing from many companies right now. Things that do not sell don't last. Now that doesn't mean they're not going to keep putting out things that don't sell, because hope springs and stupidity springs eternal. But yeah, voting with your wallet is effective in comics. And I'll give you one more reason. Even if you're not, quote unquote, changing the industry, you're at least changing your own sanity, meaning you're not giving money to things you despise. And I've said this time and day, people get really Perch, you don't understand. I've gotten more aggressive with the Perch, you disingenuous take that I'm like, block and fuck off. I've just gotten. I'm sorry. I'm done with these lectures from morons. Listen. And by the way, if you don't like this lecture from a moron, it's easy to not click on the video. I'll be Kelly Sue DeConnick here. Don't buy my crap. But that's what you need to do. Don't buy the crap. Make yourself happy first. And I say this from if you want to change comics, if you want to have not support people you don't like, you get really mad about people who you feel are taking your money and your support for granted. Cut off the support. You have to do that first, because you're not going to change or improve anything if you're sitting there from a position of unhappiness and weakness. So the very first thing you do is get yourself happier. How do you get yourself happier? Don't spend your money on stuff that you hate. And that is the trap of Well, I can't break my run. Yeah, go ahead and break it. Look, I'll give you another reason why it's okay to break it. If years later you decide, like, let's say you're supporting a comic, you've been supporting it for 10 years, and it goes to shit, and you're like, well, I'm going to have to wait this shit out. Well, if you think it's shit, and you've been collecting comics for a long time, chances are other people will find it shit too. So go ahead and break your run. Because look, if years later the comic is restored to glory and you say, you know what, I really need to have a full, complete run, probably going to be pretty easy to go get those back issues. Not going to be super expensive. It's worth it. It's worth your sanity today. Break your run. Stop. Step number one, close your wallet to things that are making you mad. And what makes you mad? Totally up to you. Totally. Whatever you deem to make you mad, only you get to make that choice. Make it. Cut off stuff that makes you crazy. That's step one. Then step two, all the rest. Find better comics, etc. Loudly market stuff that you think is good or is doing a good job. You find, there are lots of things you can do. But it starts with one thing, and that is do not give money to things that you hate. Simple enough. All right, let's get back to the mail here. It says, I've heard another sentiment, which is that they're trying to support their local comic store. The question becomes, why not just give your money to the local store owner directly? Ask them what their margin is per comic, check out how much you usually buy, calculate how much goes into the store's hands, and just give them that. Yeah, that's an idea. Sounds like a win-win for me. The store gets their money, and you don't have to hold on to something you hate. If you don't want to give them money for nothing, buy something else. There has to be something they're selling that you like, or is that not possible? Will comic publishers hurt your store if they don't get your cut? In that case, you're not a customer, you're a victim of a hostage negotiation. That's a good analogy. That isn't how it works. Yes, there are minimums, but the minimums are very minimal. And, if you want to support your local comic shop, more power to you. Again, you can donate it, but why donate it? There's tons and tons of back issues. Hey, take that, $40 you're spending on all the X titles that are driving you crazy because you can't stand them anymore. Take that $40 and go buy a back issue you always wanted. Save up for 2 or 3 months and buy yourself like a $200 slabbed comic book from a run you truly love. There's plenty of ways to spend your money, is my point. And frankly, if you're spending your money, if you take your money off the table for a new comic, like a new X-Men book, because you hate the X-Men, and instead you take that money and you put it into back issue, that local comic shop is getting more of the profit, meaning that the margin they're getting is higher. Because originally that comic shop may have paid, say, $10 for something. You buy it for $50, you're getting them $40. If you're buying $50 worth of new comics, then it's a whole different story. Then you're actually their take home is like $20 out of that 50, maybe. So go buy back issues. There's plenty of ways to do it anyway, or buy games or whatever has to be. All right, back to the mail. So that was my initial rant, that by buying bad comics, you're telling the industry to keep making bad comics. By the way, not necessarily. I mean, keep in mind, you're one pebble amongst many. And if you hate, say, a comic that's selling 45,000 copies, and not a huge amount, taking your one order off the table probably isn't going to be meaningful. Not to the publisher. If a lot of people do it, it will become meaningful to the publisher. But you know who it absolutely is meaningful to? You. And you're what matters. Be selfish in this case. Take your money off the table, make yourself happy, the rest will work itself out. I promise. Now, you can still go to war later if you really feel compelled to do that and you have a good strategy. You're not just online screaming about things. But at very least, stop the bleeding in your own house. All right, back to it. Then I had another thought, says the mail. Because there's another complaint that a lot of my comic book friends have, that the major players in the comic book industry are living off their own fantasy land. Any criticism gets deflected by calling them racist. And comparisons of their business strategy, including the poor digital distribution to more successful counterparts, often get ignored. Oh, they don't get ignored. You get called racist for that too. I did the comic. I swear to you. I had this. I always hate, by the way, this. Well, a friend of a friend told me. If you're telling me a friend of a friend told you something, I've taken it as you're telling me. I mean, you're the middleman of gossip. Give me a break. It's coming from you. That's just the way I'm going to treat it. So, for what it's worth. But a friend, I don't think this way, but a friend of a friend listened to your video about the negligence of Marvel and DC for neglecting a digital strategy. And they're saying that proves you're racist. I'm like, oh, racist how? How does this prove that I'm racist? It's like, well, because by arguing that they need a digital strategy, it's anti people of color. I'm like, I don't even know what that means. It's like, well, people of color can't afford digital devices, meaning tablets and iPhones and other things. That's not my experience looking around the world, by the way, but whatever. It's like, brown people finally enters the discussion because people of color, I mean, that's everyone. But brown people can't afford digital devices, so by saying they're stupid for not going to digital, you're saying you don't care about what brown people can afford. To which I said, you know what? Don't mail me again. And by the way, I'm not even joking. That wasn't my answer. I'm like, stop mailing me. It's like, no, this didn't come from me. I said I disagreed, but I'm just passing it along. You may want to clarify that in one of your videos. I'm like, you know what? If people listen to my video and that's what they walked away from, then good for them. Let them continue to think that, because they're going to think I'm a terrible person, and they're going to never talk to me, and they're going to do me a massive favor by staying away. I'm sorry. The end. Get lost. Anyway, it's true. I think that there is this built-in kind of knee-jerk reaction, which is criticism and complaints are coming from a place of evil, not a place of love. And in some cases they are. I mean, look, this drives this drives everybody crazy, but particularly the CG crowd. Whenever I say it, so I say it all the time because I like to drive everyone crazy, all across the board. There are always people in every single group. There is. All of them. 100% of every group has a handful of nutcases in your group. That comic pros do, crowdfunding groups do, independent fans do, comic shop retailers do. Everybody has a few nuts. Nobody is 100% perfect. I had some other video up, and there was this guy who kept spamming the comment board. I said something like, the milkshake. Very briefly, I said, the milkshake stuff. Yeah, people went out and harassed those people, and that was wrong. And basically, the person was like, no, it was not wrong. Those women deserve to be harassed. They should be harassed more. Like, okay, look what you're typing there. The sad part is like the 4 or 5 people who like the post. It's like, I agree. They should get, no, it's not going to be a winning argument in what you do. There's crazy people everywhere. The point is, most people who complain or criticize or try and get something better go, I truly believe in my heart, are not crazy people. The majority of people just want a good product. But if you write off the majority by the handful of crazy people, you're basically cutting off your ability to improve. And if you cut off your ability to improve, you're putting yourself in jeopardy of losing. So don't do that. That's crazy. Anyway, the mail-ins. It says, you stated before that you don't think the U.S. comic industry can capitalize on success. Well, technically, I said they aren't capitalizing on success. Hope springs eternal. All it takes is one big savvy business person at some point. They can do it. Anyway. The mail says, but that means that if everyone tried to buy a comic to try and tell the industry, this is the kind of comic I want more of, the industry would not even understand the message. Well, that's probably true, actually. Neither is happening. I did this video a while back. It was another one that got a lot of the critics pretty angry. Somebody did a live stream, like blow by blow, like where they play like 2 seconds of my video, and then they all go like, rah, 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 and then they play another 2 seconds. Rah, rah, rah. They kind of do that bullshit. It's always, it always strikes me as just like, this is the most low-T pussy behavior in the entire world. Like the blow by blow every couple second, yeah, just be a man and confront the person directly, you pussy. Anyway, sorry. My comment was, hey, to really screw with the comic industry, you should do the AMC GameStop thing, like buy hard, buy all in on one particular issue, spike the number, and send a message. And nobody wanted to do that. But also, it wouldn't send a message. Sadly, we've seen instances of comics that do really well unexpectedly. The sales do great. And you Marvel and DC look at that and be like, huh, that's interesting, and then continue doing whatever they're doing. That's weird. They're disconnected from the numbers. Sad to say. Anyway, I think that message would have a lot more effectiveness with Image or one of the indies. But the big two, it does not seem to. Anyway. Um, we're back to the mail saying. In that case, can you even vote? It says. If neither positive feedback nor negative feedback can get through the industry, then nothing customers do matters. People can show up to the polls, but the ballot gets tossed away. That can't be true, can it? Anyway, thanks. Got a little bit of therapy going on in that mail. Look, yes, it matters. What matters is, again, you. And try not to undervalue this. And this is good advice to everyone. Making yourself happy sounds trivial. Like, who cares about making yourself happy? It's you got to change the industry. You got to force these people to quit. You got to get them all fired. I mean, those are all nice things, but it starts with your own happiness. If you are pleased and comfortable and satisfied with the decisions that you are making, if your buying behavior matches what you want, you're going to be in a better mental state. You're going to be happier. You're going to feel better about the cash you have. You're going to build up a nice collection of other things. Do that first. Then go out and wage war however you're going to do it. Your war will be smarter. Your vote will be more meaningful because you're going to be coming at it from a place of strength. You're going to be coming at it from a better mental state. You're going to be coming at it from an area where you might actually have a victory. If you go at it just, screaming and shouting, but you keep inflicting wounds on yourself, meaning you buy things you hate, it's not going to end well for you. It will not. You won't be able to sustain it. You're not going to be happy. That's the best advice I can give is make yourself happy, and then don't undervalue that. A happy you is actually a pretty good thing. A happy you means a consumer that knows what they buy, likes what they buy, understands what they buy. That's going to be healthier. So make you happy, and then take it from there. I think it's the path to success. Now, and by the way, you'd be surprised if enough of you stop buying something or start buying something. The industry does start to take notice, and particularly as you heard from the interview with Mark Miller, we are in a period of change. So make sure that you're voting, even if it doesn't feel like your voting counts right away. Make sure you're voting how you believe. Because as this industry is shifting, the right people will take notice, and the right people are going to win. The people who are smart, people who are, actively working this industry, they're going to win. The people who are just trailing around behind, whatever happens, those people are going to lose. So, put your time, put your energy into what you like. You'll be better for it. Anyway, thank you very much for the mail. If you have mail, you can write in and I'll answer it and ramble on forward. And subscribe. Again, make sure you're still subscribed. Who knows what's going on? And thanks for listening.